There we go. Merry Christmas, Bert. Even though it's the day after, you're our first podcast after the day of Christmas.
How about
I
that?
didn't want that done. I didn't want to take any days off, so I was looking forward to it. When you signed up on that day, I was like, oh man, we got a good one to kind of finish the year off with. You know what I mean?
Or start the new year if you're going to go from Christmas to Christmas.
Right. Some people do that. You know what I mean? They start the.
Yeah.
I'm a Christmas free, so if anybody knows me, people know that. Halloween's done. And November 1st, my Christmas decorations are up. I told my kids, I say, get the caskets out of the front yard and start getting Mickey Mouse and the Christmas tree out for decorating. And
you're one of those.
That's correct. I am one of those for sure. And stuff. Oh, look at this. Oh, Emilio's on already. Look at that. I'm surprised Emilio's on with all the stuff he's got going on for the week coming up.
Well,
so
Emilio does his own thing.
That's true.
But
then he is on 75 hard right now. So Emilio, if you are listening, just so you know, I'm not on 75 hard right now. I've done 75 hard through the holidays, but I am on 13 hours into a 42-hour fast. So, which kind of sucks. And here's Daniela. She's on too. There's only one listener right now. So, oh no, here we are. We're popping up a bunch more now, but
all right. Hi, everybody.
There we go.
We used to do that every day at CBS. Hi, everybody. No, that's not true. We didn't do that.
That does sound very TV-ish from the, that does sound very TV-ish. So I got Tim Burt on the show today, so I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit, and then we're going to hit into his expertise and see if he can't help market what we do and help market what you guys do out there. So with no further ado, Tim, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, let's get rocking and rolling.
Yeah, sure. Here's the mercifully brief introduction. My name's Tim Burt. How you doing? I have more than 30,000 commercials to my name around the world, sold over $500 million worth of stuff, and I've had to market everything from Fortune 500 companies all the way down to lots of mom and pops and entrepreneurs, probably just like you, all over the world. Coach, consult, speak, voiceover coach, and I've created a platform, a marketing platform that does not exist anywhere else in the world. It's called the QR Market, and allows you to sell 4 things on the same screen at the same time, and that's kind of my big focus right now. But in the world of marketing, that's pretty much what I do. Is I help people sell more stuff.
Yeah, that's including selling themselves, I would imagine, right?
Absolutely.
So, marketing in itself, I think, as far as business goes, in a martial arts world, word of mouth is probably one of the best marketing tools that we have. And, having that kind of a system inside what we do is, if you got a good product, it will draw people in and they will tell their friends and they will come. But I'll tell you this. Now, tell me this is not true, right? You can do something great for a million years, and you do one bad thing, and boy, it can come crashing down in a heartbeat.
No doubt.
And just erase all the good that you've ever done. That's a weird dichotomy when you think about it.
Yeah, it's one of my first rule of marketing, especially online, is contradiction gets attention. So if you do something out of your perceived norm, what people expect you to do, if all of a sudden it's you screw up so spectacularly that people can't help but share it and follow and all that stuff and comment on it, you're going to get attention. May not be the attention you want. However, one thing, and there's a caveat to that. You've heard people say, well, there's no such thing as bad press, or you don't want any bad press or any of that. Here's the truth. The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. So if you somehow manage to fall down this trap where you screw up so spectacularly that you just all of a sudden go viral, that may not be the worst thing in the world. It puts eyeballs on you. And isn't that what we're trying to get anyway? Eyeballs and ears on you?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
that's true. That's true. So, well, let's take a look at something that's big right now, like in the, well, I don't know in your world, but in my world, you on my feed, you're going to see stuff like Joe Rogan and MMA fights and Jocko and you know stuff that I do, the jujitsu world, and this is
sure.
what you see, right? And then so the Liver King is out and about. I don't know if you've heard about him, right? The Liver
No.
King is a this guy is ripped, but he eats like hearts and raw liver, and he said, "This is what you got to do to look like me." And he is like this big focus. I mean, he is ripped to shreds, and everybody. And he keeps saying he's not on steroids. I'm not. I don't do that. I don't do uh, steroids. I only eat, liver and you know whatever else organs that he has.
Yeah.
And so he he now has been come across now for a couple years. They all talk about him, and so they all talk about that that he's full of shit, that he's taking steroids. Okay. And then finally it comes across right an email that somebody has hacked or something did on him, and he has had to come clean that he does do it, that it's been a big lie. And now it has just changed the whole focus. He's on every freaking show on why did you lie about it and stuff like that.
Sure.
And every time I watch it, I'm like, did he set that up?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Liver King. Here's how this works. Okay, Liver King. The emails have come forth. You've been exposed as a, well, maybe not telling 100% of the truth. Why did you do it? Well, look, man, I just had to do what I had to do. And speaking of what I had to do you know what you have to do? You have to buy my program that is available right now at liverking.com. And I'm going to show you how to. It's all a work, man. It's all a spin. It's all an angle. It's everything is there's an angle to everything. People say, "No, I'm just being honest." Well, you might be, but subconsciously, below the surface, you're going, I really would like you to check out my book or my podcast or buy my program or I do coaching. You know, it's all about getting eyeballs on you. So it comes across as slimy and sleazy. Sure. But man, mission accomplished.
Definitely just,
You know?
I'm telling you right now, he definitely has mission accomplished, because when it came forth, now it's everybody talked about how he's that's not true. So he'd be on the shows saying that's true. Now he's on every show and saying it was just such a relief for that to finally come out. It's like a monkey on my back, and I was lying to my family, and
Nobody, well, in the world of media, nobody, trust me, when I was at CBS and in radio for all those years, trust me, we don't want to talk to anybody who's boring. We don't want to talk if there's no controversy or angle to what you have. Next, I can find somebody who does. I can find somebody who is controversial. I can find somebody who will stir the pot. If we don't, media outlets, and that's, by the way, that's print, radio, television, internet, even billboards. I mean, if it's something contradictory or controversial, that's going to get attention because it's out of the norm. It's what they say, a pattern break or pattern disruptor and all that stuff. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's just, what is it? Who's your audience? What do you want them to do? Now that you've got the attention, okay, what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I thought about that with you when it all was exposed, and I knew that. I said, hey, I got Tim coming on. I'm going to ask about that, because it is so suspicious to me that that's that's just so, yeah, it still is. Every time I see him, I'm like, I don't know. I guess but here's the thing, right? Escobar's on. Here's the thing with it. It's like a car accident, man. I don't want to listen to you, but for some reason, I got to listen to what BS is coming out your mouth right now.
Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, Oprah to a degree. That's how they built their careers. That's how they got where they are. They didn't get there by going, oh, here's Susie Cream Cheese. She makes sweaters. Let's talk about that. No, it's you are not the father. You are not sleeping with you are sleeping with your cousin's dad or what. All of that stuff. But here's the question I would pose to you, Mark. Do you think reality shows are real?
Well, it was exposed here that I've always thought they're full of crap until they wanted to use my school, because at my school behind my alley is a nice kind of a little parking, because my next door neighbor it's hidden. And so they came to me and said, hey, our actors are going to be in here. This is the reality show where they come and pick up your car and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. You guys are coming in.
Oh, man.
And this is your reality show. So they got the reality actors and they're confiscating their car and making a big fight, out of it in the back in the alley. And that's when I realized.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. I didn't realize that was your place. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
So that's when I knew, when they did a couple of them, they asked if they could use the parking lot in the back, and I'd have the actors in here, and I'd be sitting right here. I'm in my office, that I turned into my podcast studio, right? And I'm just like, you guys are so full of shit, man. People are, but it's just, I guess it's just the entertainment value. That's why pro wrestling is what it is,
dude. No doubt.
So
absolutely. Well, it's the same. It's the same phenomenon as when I was on the radio. I'm gonna tell you I was thinking about this the other day for some odd reason. I don't know why. The two hardest times that I had to be on the air was number one. This was in 94. And we had just launched a brand new radio station in Rapid City, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I got brought in because it's a brand new station. And the first day we were playing like 10,000 songs in a row to launch the station back in those days, And the first day that we could actually talk, it was like, okay, now we're going to start loosening this up. We're going to start doing the commercials and all that. This was the day that Jeffrey Dahmer was killed in prison. And I'm like, I actually have to say this, but hey, welcome to this new radio station. By the way, Jeffrey Dahmer was killed in prison. Okay, coming up, here's, whatever. Alanis Morissette coming up or whatever. And the second hardest time in radio was here. And I had just moved here. This was the week of, so 9/11 happened on a Tuesday. Every Saturday, and I'd been here for a year producing this show, creating this show. It was a Saturday night dance party. Like I would mix all the songs. Well, we didn't take that Saturday off. So imagine one of the great tragedies in American history. And Saturday night, I had to be like, hey, it's Saturday Night Fever right here on Y98, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do you know how weird this is? Do you know how fake this feels? So dude, for what was it, 5 hours? It was just bizarre. And it's like, how do you get around that? Well, you just do what you do. But I think there's a level of acceptability from the audience when you put something out, when you market something yourself. There's a level of acceptability. People will say they have very sensitive BS meters. I believe you. I don't believe you. And the second it starts going to I don't believe you, you've lost it.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. So I had to let's have some fun. 3,000 people just died back in New York, but hey, let's have some fun. Here's Casey and the Sunshine Band.
That I can so tell you did radio with your radio voice.
Yeah,
it's so I thought now you don't, do you have your own podcast too, Tim, or not? Or do you not podcast?
I do. So, I'm not very active on it just because of I'm very particular of what I do on it. And I think I'm at about 40 or 50 episodes. I'm not sure. I haven't podcasted in a while, but I do. The reason I do it is just to stay in touch with the broadcasting roots. You know,
Gotcha.
'cause I just treat it like a radio show. You know, that I had to do for years. So, but
So
it's fun.
so now did you go to school for what you do, or did you kind of land in it? Is that what you
I
did?
literally this was from a very young age. I knew I was going to do something in media. I had a very good inkling that I was going to do performance something. And yeah, so all of this stuff that I've achieved, I have no degree. I have no formal training per se. Um, won no awards. I don't have any marketing competition ribbons or trophies hanging up. This is all self-taught and also I'll say self-taught, but also investing in myself, paying for my own coaching from my mentors who absolutely changed my life and the trajectory of my career. So if I didn't invest in myself, I wouldn't even be close to where I am today.
I encourage my kids to do the same thing. Now, I personally I did not graduate college. Okay.
Same here.
As a matter of fact, in high school, I went from being like the president of junior high school. Back when I was in high school, it was elementary school was up to ninth grade. It wasn't like it is today. And then
Oh,
we right, and then when you went to high school, it was 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's how it was. You're an old guy like I am. So I remember going from a junior high setting in a private school where I was kind of played quite a bit of sports and was a small student. And then I went to a public school, Reseda High, where Cobra Kai was born and bred
oh
at
yes,
Reseda.
Cobra Kai. Yes.
And so, and I just kind of got lost in there. I went on the football team and I was a walk-in. And as a walk-in, you just kind of getting your ass kicked on a daily, but coaches back then is, coaching back then is, you suck in waters for the weak. And, so the
Walk it off, rub dirt on it.
And 2-a-day practices and the whole thing. And I just didn't do well in there. And I got my jaw broken in high school. You know what I mean? I got sucker punched. I wasn't doing martial arts back then. I tell this story quite often. I didn't tell it in my book, but November 16th, 1977, I'm sitting on the bench. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I had just taken his position on the football team. And I'm starting the next game. And I'm just sitting there and he goes, and he looks past you and, some stuff comes out of his mouth. And he turned around and he just whack and he just cracked me right in the mouth. And it broke my jaw in two places, up here and here. And I had to have my jaw wired shut through that Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? So my jaw is like this, and this is how he talked, and I had to suck through a straw. And his name's Tony Mendoza, so anybody knows. Every time I do a podcast, I look for him and ask him if I can just redo that. He's welcome to come to the school, and we're going to just put the cage up, and him and I are going to have a go. And
was he, just as a quick aside, was he the reason you got into martial arts?
He is well, my brother's more the reason, but it's always been in the back of my mind ever since I got hit that way.
Sure.
That I said, I am going to learn how to defend myself at some point. And
this will never happen again in your head.
Right. And I became kind of after that one too. And I was already kind of getting made fun of in school quite a bit. And so I was naturally kind of a tough dude and aggressive. And I would fight. Right. And it would take the attention off bullying me. And so that's what I did. Right. And so after I did that, when I finally got to learn martial arts, I said, I said, if I ever find him, I can't yet to find any. I'm hoping he comes in and let me. And I keep thinking to myself, there's not many guys my age that want to come in and roll around and fight anymore. They kind of grow out of it. But, I keep growing into it more. I don't know what's wrong with me. But
that's great, though.
That is how high school was, for me. And so I ended up not graduating school either. I went to continuation school in high school, where it was more independent study. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's how I graduated out of high school. And I took the GED. I tried to do some college, and I freaking hated it. But I
Yeah.
think now I don't know now. So you're pretty self-taught now. Guys in our era, I hear this quite a bit. Right? There was a time that school was super important. Now I told my children, I'd like to see you get some schooling in behind you, but I want you to do what you love for a living, and I want you to invest in yourself, because you said something there that I think is spot on. Right? About investing in yourself and growing what you love to do. Right? And so when you invested in yourself, you needed coaching. Where did you go looking? I think this is an important question, because I'm going to tell you why. I mean, I'm just be pretty transparent. I'm pretty real talk about all this kind of stuff. When I got introduced to the CLA and all the stuff and all the authors and all that kind of stuff, I mean to tell you that people come at you with quite a bit of, I'll be your coach, I can do this, I can do that, and how to pick and choose. And I'm not saying that some of them aren't great, but they have to be great for you, right? So
100%.
I would like to know, how do you weed through, or how did you weed through, who am I going to pick that is going to be the most beneficial for what I need? Because, even matter of fact, every coach says it out there, even in the CLA tribe and stuff like that. They said, hey, my coaching may not be what you need, but this is what I do, A, B, and C. And maybe this is what you need or you're looking for. Because let's be honest. Some of the, my personality, right? You're going to have to be kind of in my face. I'm not going to be well into a Zen yoga type of a coach, my dear friends and stuff like that. Now I need you to be in my face and say, stop being a pussy. And this is what you're going to do, A, B, and C, or you're not going to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
Give me some feedback on what you think. How did you choose coaching, and what's a good thing for people to look for?
This answer may seem a little unorthodox. Just gonna throw that out there. I'm all about Michael. I want you to think in a different way. Because the standard conventional wisdom way of thinking may not be the best path for you. It's like college. You got to go to college for what? Now, if you're going to be a surgeon or
right,
or something like that, okay, yeah, sure, an engineer, of course. But when it comes to coaching, especially just for you, this is what I did. There was a guy that I knew, or I kept hearing his name for years. I would hear his name, and I dabbled around like, let me see what this guy's got going on. And then one day, there's a very long backstory behind it, but one day I knew I had to pull the trigger. I knew I had to get better, or I was probably going to be out of a job. And I said, I got to get help. Like, so the first step is coming to that realization that you need a coach, number one. But to your point of who is the right coach, if you keep hearing people say this person, that, this guy, check this guy out. Oh yeah, he's really good. Maybe check him out. And the thing is, it may not be the person at the top of the mountain in your industry.
mm-hmm.
They may not be. They may be middle of the pack, but man, they're really good. They're real, and they could be really good for you. So it's like anything else. It's almost kind of like buying a car. It's like, what do you need it to do? Or if I'm buying a vehicle, what do you need it to do?
Yeah.
And just go from there. But it really does boil down to doing your due diligence.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I've always, being a self-starter, I've told my children too, I said, the thing that I missed in school, which could have been taught in high school, is that how to formulate and write good, right? Which for business, right? And what marketing look at Emilio's off to get books and banners for the thing. Amelia, I hope you put those extra books in for me because I haven't got an invoice, just so you know, just while we're on the subject. So, and then, yeah, Emilio's going to pick me up from the airport next week, and I'm going to walk those rocky steps. So I want to, when I looked at coaching myself, when I was trying to look for some coaching, I said, first of all, I have to be related. I have to relate to them. You know what I mean? Number one. And they have to be real with me. They have to be able to tell me that, hey, what you're doing sucks. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we can have a conversation on what you think sucks and why I feel like it's not, what that means. You know what I'm saying? And so, but we still need to make sure that, I'm getting something out of this. You know, I'm a pretty,
for sure.
I'm transparent. I'm real. And my ego at my age now, my ego is less than what it was when I was a youngster, you know, when I was a younger man. I mean, you couldn't tell me what I was doing right or wrong.
Right.
But in school, I couldn't learn to formulate, I didn't write. I didn't write as well. Okay. And critical thinking, on putting you under some stress, like life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't tell you, like in martial arts, in my school especially, you will get stress tested in here to see if the techniques we teach you work. I'm not just going to give you some fluff. I'm going to throw you up against a wall, and I'm going to breathe hard in your face, and you're going to tell me if you can defend yourself or not. Right. Because that's how real it's going to be when violence hits you. And when violence hits you, you better hit it back. And because I'm not going to be there, but you're going to have part of me with you. You're going to have that spirit of not quit, and I'm going to take part of your heart today. You know what I mean? That's how I try and empower my students. Real. And so you didn't have that in school either. They didn't really pressure test us. Testing us on 2x2 and stuff like that is not pressure testing.
Right.
Getting you in front of a group. Can you speak? You know what I mean? Can you talk? Stuff like that. That's the only thing that I wish I had more of.
Well, in the world of business, and when it comes to, do you need a coach? Which one should you pick? Do you even need a coach? Should I get it? Well, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who was asking about some marketing stuff, and I said, look, he said, he brought up the old saying that business is a blood sport, and I said it's true, it is, and then I countered him with, and money is how we keep score, and he had never heard that. And I said, and he goes, he's like, oh man, that's crazy, so when you can have, and you can drop a little bit of knowledge on somebody and they have that light bulb moment, and they can connect the dots for themselves in their head. Dude, that's why I do half this stuff is, look, I want you to get better. Yes, you need a coach, but a coach doesn't always have to show you every single thing. I think me personally, a really good coach, depending on your personality, is the person who says, the coach will say, okay, I need to get them here. Now, if I can get them to connect this dot and this dot to get here, I'm not going to say, do this, do this, do this. I'm going to say, what if you tried blank? Oh, and then deductive reasoning kicks in and they can go, oh, yeah, you're right. Exactly. It's let them connect the dots and let them think that it's their own thought in their own head. When you can do that, a good coach can do that to you and make you think that it was your idea. That makes the coach's job a lot easier. Number one, and number two, it's going to give you a greater sense of accomplishment. Like, I figured this out.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good advice on that there, Tim. I think that will resonate well with even the audience out there, because I want to see my students do well, and I want to see light bulbs go off. And part of it is you got to show up, man. Okay, you got to show up with an open mind, and you got to do the work. So you can do those two things, and then let me kind of coach you here and there. And I say this all the time, right? My coaches anyway, I've got some of the best coaches in the martial arts, right? Fight coaches and jiu-jitsu coaches. And like on my jiu-jitsu world, my jiu-jitsu techniques are this big, but my jiu-jitsu is this big. And I hone in and I just tell my students, your jiu-jitsu is going to be different than mine.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to navigate and you're going to have to find your way. And
Yep.
so I think that is, that's really, really powerful. And I've connected these dots on everybody that's like yourself, a Jose or an Emilio and everything else. All you, entrepreneur men and women that you have one common thread. We all have this common thread is the coaching aspect. And the more that you can get that at a younger age, boy, the better you'll mature into some fine wine for sure.
Absolutely.
So
100% agree. Here's this I think would resonate with your audience, and especially in the jiu-jitsu world. My gosh, I studied martial arts for like a cup of coffee when I was 15 or something, and it just wasn't for me. I mean, that's okay. But I do voiceover coaching because I voice stuff all over the world. And the first day one, when somebody works with me, I tell them rule number one in the world of voiceover and voice coaching is the money is in the control. If you're able to control your voice in the world of jiu-jitsu, when you're able to control your actions or your movements or control the fight, poor term, when you're able to maintain control, you're going to do a lot better than these people that are just flailing around wildly and have no idea what they're doing. They're going off of muscle memory and things that they've heard or the things that they've saw, the things that they've seen that they think are right, but they're not. And they just think like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you know what that is. But they're like, oh, I know how to do that. No, you don't. No, you don't. And you're making so many mistakes right now. I can just come in and just take you down inside of 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah. See, those type of analogies just fit so well for me. And then they fit everybody that is, because they're still the ABCs of what you do. So, well, let's ask this. I got I got a good coach online. So let's ask, give me your top 3 when you come into market yourself. Okay. Or your business. What's A, B, and C that you should be looking at? And then I'll get a little more specific on some questions I have. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny because I got a 3-part answer and it's all one answer. It's one answer in 3 parts, and it's very quick. First off, it's what I call the need, want, will test. Okay, the need, want, will test. The first question is when you say like, okay, I've got this thing, I've got this tablet here, and I've just created this thing and I want to sell it. Great. Run it through the need, want, will test. The first question is, does your audience, and you have to know who your audience is, does your audience need it? Yes or no? Well, maybe. Okay. They may not need it. They may need it. We don't know. And it's important, but it's not as important as the second question is. The second question is, do they want it? Do they want it? Well, gosh, I mean, I don't know if there's only one way to find out. Put it out there. Let's see if they want it. It's like MySpace or Facebook. Did you want it? Well, I don't know. Did we want Instagram? Well, maybe. I don't know. Third question is, will they pay for it? Will they pay for it? And if you say, well, yeah, Instagram's free and Facebook's free, and I'll say, yeah, you're paying for it in a different way. You just don't realize you're paying for it in your data. But does your audience need it? Do they want it? Will they pay for it? I go back to Google. If you remember in the late 90s, 98, I think 97 or 98 is when Google really bubbled up. And I heard it from a friend of mine. She says, oh, there's this new search engine. You got to check it out. It's called Google. Okay. She goes, it's great. You're going to love it. Okay, fine. Did we need Google? No. We had other search engines. We had AOL, we had Alta Vista, we had Yahoo, we had all these Ask Jeeves. We had search engines.
Yeah.
But somebody came along and made a better one. Okay. So it's different and better. Do people want it? Well, when they saw what it could do, yeah, they wanted it. Will they pay for it? Yeah, they're paying for it in their data and their tracking and all that other hoo-ha that these companies do. So it boils down to that fundamental question. Do they need it? Do they want it? Will they pay for it? I created a thing about a year and a half ago for people that in the radio industry that are still doing the job that I did for all those years. And it was the commercial side, and basically making commercials and making better commercials that are going to actually work for the clients and turn them into money. And everybody I talked to said, oh gosh, this industry needs this so bad. Okay. Do they need it? Yes. Do they need it? Mm-hmm. Pass the need test. Do they want it? Well, yeah, sure. They want it. It failed the third part. Will they pay for it? The answer was a big fat no. And the reason why is because it's the whole internet. Well, it's on the internet. It's free. And the people think, well, gosh, I can just get that stuff I can learn all that stuff from YouTube. Well, you can, but nobody ever said it's any good. That's true. What I call the free online library. Be careful what you pay for. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff. You can learn plenty of stuff on plenty of topics on YouTube. Nobody ever said it's any good.
Yep, that's 100% true. Yeah, those are good. So you're saying, do they need it? Do they want it? Will they pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's got to pass that test. It's got to pass that test.
Yeah, those are three really, really good things. So let me ask you some questions here.
Sure.
I've got some questions just because it's in my world, right? And I did all this on a whim. Okay, this whole thing, and then it's growing to be a little bit more than what I thought it would be. And I really only did. Wasn't doing interviews quite a bit in the first. It was just me talking kind of about my story, what it was like to lose 110 pounds and this kind of thing, and have some legacies to it. And I have this small audience that, Mr. Cox is talking, and I want to hear what he has to say. And so I did this audio podcast to have a legacy for my kids when dad's gone. This is how my dad thinks. This is what he does. This is how he lives his life. And that's how I really started it. And then it kind of evolved into this. And then matter of fact, you're probably one of the best guests I've had on because you have great audio. I cannot tell everybody that comes on, I'm like, I cannot tell you how important the audio is on these things, man. Okay. And, so I invested in some stuff. I had somebody help me say, this is what's going to make your podcast look good, be better, but your sound is the bread and butter.
That's key.
And so I invested in the mics, and now as it's grown, there's a few things I'd like to do a little bit different and into 2023.
Sure.
But my question is, I had a professional voiceover that you'll hear it in the beginning, and now I've had it for a year. And so I'm asking myself, Tim, is less more on the introduction of yourself? Is talking about yourself the best way for introductions? And should it be more targeted into an audience?
Yeah.
And that can be for not just my podcast, but that could be for anybody. Am I trying to be bigger than what it can be, or do I need to target myself into a better audience?
Wow. First off, great questions. Fantastic. When it comes to the intro, I would agree with you. Shorter is better. There was an old saying that we had in radio: "Don't bore us, get to the chorus." When we're listening to a new song, listening to a new song, going, "Get to the hook, the most recognizable part of the song." If your intro was well crafted, written out, and really edited to the point where it's literally 10 seconds, 15 seconds tops. Mark Cox is an international award-winning jiu-jitsu master who has beaten, Bruce Lee and whatever, who teaches martial arts students like you how to, or, talks with guests who in the world of martial arts, Black Belt magazine or whatever. See what I'm saying?
Right.
If it's really well written and it's well crafted and it's concise and it's hard hitting and it's got some of those triggers in there, the NLP stuff, it can be extremely powerful. I think if you have an intro, if it's really short, great. Because here's the thing. Even when you're marketing yourself, somebody is hearing or seeing you for the first time. Every time you do one of these shows or every time you post something, somebody is hearing or seeing you for the first time. You have, and so when you let them define what you are, you lose. You have to say, I'm Mark Cox. Here's my world. Why don't you come into my orbit? Why don't you land on my planet and let me show you around? Now now you control the narrative. One of my mantras: when you control the message, you control the money. And what I said, what was rule one? Money's in the control. So I mean, this all kind of ties in together. It's a yin yang thing. Your intro should be short. It should say Mark Cox, the Mark Cox podcast. You'll learn about this, whatever, however you want to phrase it. And there was a second part there. I'm sorry, I got hung up on the intro.
Well, no, and that was my main thing, right? So the intro being, and the next was talking about yourself, right? How do you come across so you don't sound like an arrogant dick? You know what I mean?
So it's not a big old me monster. Me,
right.
I'm this and that. Always put the focus on them. So, for instance, or it's like I said earlier about letting them connect the dots in their head. One of my taglines is, I make commercials that make money. Whoa. Can you help me? Probably. Let's figure out what you got. Let's see. So I let them connect. I let them kind of go, in their head. If the problem that a lot of people run into is I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. I've done that too. I can do this too. And what there's a point when if all you're doing is saying, I do this, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. What people are really hearing is, I'm desperate. I'm desperate. Hire me. Hire me. And they're going to go, and nobody wants to hire or work with anybody that appears or comes off as desperate. It's just because then you're just willing to do anything to, for me to pay you or whatever it is. It's like, do you really have my vision is here? Can you help me get here? Instead of,
I think those are really good advices because, you'll end up hearing mine too. And I think I think I already know what you're going to come back with on, because even myself, now that I'm putting my intros in and stuff like that, and it's almost a 30-second intro, and I'm like, man, this is taking forever. And, I'm getting sick of hearing it myself. Okay?
Welcome to short attention span theater.
Right. And so, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm getting sick of it, is everybody else going to get sick of it too? No. And am I not,
is precise? It, I think what you're really saying is it as effective and concise and as piercing as it could be? That might be what you're really,
that's correct. I think that's, I have that. I do have that in the back of my head. And I think that's the other thing. I like, I got the guy that did it is a really good radio voice. I kind of found him. I was looking around for him, and he's from Texas, and he's got this old school radio voice. And, I'm kind of a vintage guy. I like, even in my logo, you can see I got that vintage 50s mic, and I don't know why I liked it. I guess it just reminds me of when I was growing up with my own folks, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And, I just like that vintage look, and I liked the vintage sound out of his voice. But now, after doing this now, I'm coming up on my 4th season in 2023, right? And then I started looking for coaching in the podcast world. Okay, how do I grow the podcast now past what it is? And even on some of these things, I'm like, I don't know if I'm targeting people the way I need to be. I have this vast thing that I like to know, and I like to hear other people's stories, right? And I like to hear their expertise on how do you help other people. and I like the interview process. But there's some shows I still do. It's just me
Yeah.
talking. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
how do you kind of how do you help navigate people to become the best version of themselves?
It goes back to the old Zig Ziglar quote. Help people get what they want. They'll help you get what you want. So it's who's your audience? And really, what is I would say, what's the purpose of your podcast? Is it to, uh, is it it's clearly not a martial arts thing, because I wouldn't be on if it was just martial arts, because I'm
Mhm.
not martial arts. So really, it's who's your audience? What's the purpose of the podcast? What are you going to tell them that they can't get anywhere else? Things like that. So you have to work backward. We've all heard this. Work backwards. Start with your end goal in mind, and you know
Yeah, I
I
think
would do
that's
that.
good, man. I just think that see this stuff also, right? Not even in college is marketing in your business courses really ironed in on this. This is
Yeah.
all coming to me over years of being in business and what I feel works and then I have a tendency to look through black belt eyes. I don't look through uh somebody else's eyes. I look through black belt eyes. I look through, oh, that intrigues me. That intrigues me. I don't want to intrigue me.
It
So
ain't about you. It's never about you. It's always about them. Maybe go back to need, want, will. Do they need it? Do they want it? Will they pay for it? It's not about you. It's not, do you need it? Do you want it? Will you pay for it? No, it's, will them, will they
that
pay for it? You got to
I
think of
guess
they, not you.
right. And so when you do some target marketing or we see somebody, I see somebody, getting after it and stuff like that and it's just aggressive as all can be and stuff like that. I'm like, "Oh man, I love that." But I'm not sure mom with her 3-year-old son is loving that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
y-
Well, you have to get really, I hear this all the time. Um, And it's true. I just don't like how many people seems like they keep barfing the same line over and over. Your avatar. Well, that's partially true. I'd like to think of a bigger target on the bullseye. Go out a couple of rings. I want people who are. I want I want dudes over 50 who can devote 10 hours a week to getting in shape, and and they can spend $500 a month without breaking their budget to buy the supplements. Like if that was if that was
right.
an audience for you, or if you had a training, the ripped grandpa or something, I don't know. And you said, here's what I want. I want this. They gotta tick off all these boxes. If they can do this, boom, I want you. And now some people would say, well, gosh, you're kind of making a smaller, the audience is a lot smaller. Yes, it is going to be a lot smaller, but guess what? They're going to be a lot more receptive, because you're literally talking to people who they want to hear what you are telling them. It's like, yes, this is what I want. Again, it goes back to need, want, will. Do they need it? Do they want it? Will they pay for it?
Yeah. I
So
guess that's all true, because I didn't I didn't really get into the podcasting thinking that this could be a source of income, but it truly is now. And now I got people asking me about sponsorships. I don't even know about that yet, right? I don't know about that world yet. I
yeah,
haven't I haven't really had a coach that walked me through that or how to make it. And then am I enduring to other people? It's a whole weird thing for me, right? So
yeah,
I haven't dabbled into that yet. But then, I'm going on my 4th year, and then so I had to reevaluate myself. I said, "Why am I doing these? Why am I doing these? There's not really money. It's cost me a lot of money and equipment because I
and
want
time.
to, right? And I want to have a quality show. All my girl, you see the artwork she did with you and stuff like that.
Yep, yep,
I have a virtual assistant that does all these covers that look, and I was doing it. You can see mine in the beginning. You can see what a rookie I was. compared to what
Sure.
when she came along, right? And so that was the next evolution, is having that professional look to it. I wanted that. But now in 2023, I was even going to launch a second podcast called Goya, Get Off Your Ass, right? And the Goya podcast, and have different co-hosts with me. But then when I started getting to coaching, I was like, man, now I'm going off on a whole different tangent. Do I need to merge my show? Do I need to reinvent my show? What do I need to do? And I think having somebody like yourself on here give us some feedback on how to dial into our goals properly, so we don't have this wide circle, right? That we can target. Okay, unless you think it's the same three things. Do people need what I have? Do they want it? And what are they willing to pay for it? I guess that could go into this same thing. Do people need me? Do they really need me? Probably not. I don't know. You know what I mean?
So somebody does. Somebody does.
You know, and but you know, I know for in my little world, there's a couple things I know in my world, right? I influence thousands of people, believe it or not.
Sure.
In martial arts.
Sure.
I've taught thousands of people. Now I have black belts that have their own schools that are impacting thousands of people that I go and be their
are you kind of their mentor?
Yes, their mentor and stuff, right? So now I'm impacting this, and it's growing in. So I have this built-in audience. What do you think that looks like?
Well, first off, don't choke to death on us. Number one, that's a bad look on air. I know you're not feeling well. I'm just having a little fun with you. The thing, you bring up a really good point when you said that you've mentored a lot of people and now they are mentoring people. So clearly your knowledge is being passed down. So there are people, the people that you have trained have probably said in their classes, I studied under Mark Cox and all these other people.
Yes.
Well, now here's, even though you may not think in of yourself in these terms of being the guy or a celebrity or whatever, you kind of are, so there's nothing wrong with embracing that role. Something you may want to think about, and think about what most people, let me just back up for just a second. Most business owners are 1 to 2 tiny little tweaks away from really blasting off. I mean, really exponentially taken off. I'm not saying you have to do this. It's just my 2 cents. It could be totally wrong. If your podcast was called the Mark Cox Martial Arts Podcast, now you got something that's really focused. Right. Because the Mark Cox podcast, look, you've been doing this for 4 years. I'm certainly not going to dump all over it. Okay. Number one. But let's think about that in the competitive landscape. You have people like the Joe Rogans. If you want to go old school, Phil Donahue, Merv Griffin, the talk shows, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, they were the star, and they would bring other people on, do the monologue, et cetera, et cetera. But we're not really kind of in that world anymore. Aside from people like Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla, all that stuff, unless your name is up here and you're so big, people can't ignore you. You got to drop it down and really hyper focus. So if you had the Mark Cox Martial Arts Podcast, who's going to be listening? People that are into martial arts. And that's going to help you really focus more. But you could have somebody on like me to say, here's how you market your martial arts studio a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So you have all these different tangents.
Because I thought about that too. You know what I mean? The real talk, and I looked at it because a lot of people have this real talk. I'm a real dude, man. You know what I mean? I'm going to ask you some hard questions. You can ask me some hard questions. I'm going to tell you how exactly I feel. And sure. I'm not going to be controversy. I didn't want any kind of political stuff. I get enough of that bullshit every day. I just that's not in my wheelhouse, and
Right.
it creates such division that
Yep.
I'm not interested in it. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in doing that. My thought, everybody knows where I stand on things, and I don't have to push it in your face, and it doesn't mean I can't be your friend if you and I don't agree. You know what I mean?
Sure. Sure.
I like guns and I like having guns. You don't. That's all good. You know what I mean? That's why I do martial arts, because sometimes I don't have my gun. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? So, I mean, just that those simple things like that. But I think one of the next questions I have for my, and I'm unfortunately I'm being selfish here, but I know some people have these same thought processes. They're just not going to ask about themselves. I'm
Sure.
pretty
Sure.
transparent. My ego can take a beating. I don't really, I'm not going to get super butthurt when somebody tells me, but I have a really hard time. This is me personally. Being I don't have problem, like when you see me on stage, it's a little bit different, man. I and if I'm doing martial arts and I'm smashing things, oh yeah, I'm a whole different character. Or I'm going to talk to you about life lessons that I've learned on the mat, and I've held hands to people passing away, and carrying caskets to graves, and people breaking down in my office through divorce where they can't. I'm holding them up, and even my own. I've got real life stories, man. It ain't about punching and kicking. Punching and kicking is just my vehicle. The life stories that come from it and the growth that you have is exponentially. And I always felt that I want to share that, because not everybody's into martial arts. Oh, another martial artist, and martial artists don't have the best. There's a couple things about them, man. In the business world, they're not thought of really. They teach courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit, and then they don't have any. Okay. It
Sure.
really pisses me off, right? And
Yeah.
you don't pay your bills on time, or they have to reach out to you because you say you're going to do something that you don't do, correct? And stop doing that. Stop making yourself look bigger than you are. When I know you personally, I can't stand shit like that. So,
Amen.
And so I want to take what I've done in this martial arts world, because there's so many life lessons in it, and impact. And I do have a humble spirit about myself. I have a really, you'll never hear me really talk about my rank, because it sounds so cliche. Oh, Mr. Cox, you're not going to hear me introduce myself as Mark Cox is coming to stage, 8th degree black belt, 4th degree black belt in this, 1st degree black belt in Hapkido, 5th degree black belt in this, purple belt in you're just not going to hear me do that. I'm just not about it. I don't like it. And I'm getting my ass kicked on a daily, weekly thing in the jiu-jitsu class, because this is my new thing I'm learning. I'm getting tapped out, but you're going to call me grandmaster? No, that's not going to happen. And
yeah,
I have problems with that. I have a problems of trying to have humility. How do you have humility and market yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was actually talking with somebody about this the other day. A phrase, and this will probably resonate with you. Somebody and I know there's a lot of people that we know that are authors, and they'll say, "Oh, I just released this book and it's a bestseller." Hold up. Stop. What is the criteria for a book to become a bestseller? I thought it was a number. I thought it was a rank on some sort of a chart, a la the New York Times, which, by the way, if you buy 30,000 copies of your own book, you too can be a New York Times bestseller. So you're talking about the old imposter syndrome, as a lot of people talk about. The fakes will expose themselves, and they'll be exposed at some point. And you just, it's more of a, you put on your decoder ring, your translator ears, is what they're saying. Does it sound too good to be true? If it is, it probably is. If it smells like BS, it probably is. And that's why over the last month, I have really, with a vengeance and a passion, really started to go against anything, all that. I'm a bestseller. When did your book come out? 3 days ago. No, you're not. All that fake imposter stuff. I've really started to point my guns at that, take aim at that stuff. And here, let me show you. This is how serious I am. This is, how you write down your mission statement.
Right.
Or you, and nobody else really needs to know what it is except for you, but it's kind of like your daily motivation. Here's mine.
Demolish artificially. What's the last one there?
Artificiality. Anything fake. If it's fake, I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to crush you. I'm going to sniff through your BS, and it's like in the Terminator. Remember in the beginning with the stepping on the skulls?
Yep. It's awesome.
Kind of like that. That's where I'm at. There is so much of that crap out there that I find it infuriating. And that could be the thing that has really kind of flipped the switch on this end. But back to your original point, and I apologize for diverting. There's just some things you have to get over. Like if you say Mark Cox, who's won more belts than a monkey eats bananas or whatever, whatever. You just got to do that. You just say, I've done that. It's not really me. I'm more about helping and serving and whatever. Fine. But it's gotta be one of those things that you just go, okay. Mark Cox, a 5th degree, this, a 9th degree, that, whatever. And you just go, yep, I've done that. But now let me show you how I can help you. Let me show you.
Yeah, that's good. I like how you said that too, because I do get the questions, people like, well, they ask you, what does that mean, 8th degree black belt? I said, I'll tell you what it means. It means I'm old as shit. That's what it means. I said, that means I've been doing something for a long time. I said, there's no magic that happens at 8th degree where I go into this chamber with the sensei and secret stuff comes down upon me and I go out and I have these magical powers. I said, it's just not that. It is me doing something.
It would be cool if that happened. I'd do that. But I'm gonna start today. You tell there's a secret chamber with smoke and the light and the laser and all that. Where do I sign up? We know that doesn't happen, but but you're right though. You say, hey, look, 8th degree. You know what that means? I've been doing this a long time. Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing this longer than your parents. Or you're older than your parents, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you can have some fun with it. It's okay. Nobody's gonna. If you can, it's a little bit of that self-serving, or I'm sorry, self deprecating humor. What that means? I've been doing this a lot. I'm old as crap. I'm older than dirt. I've been doing this since Moby Dick was a minnow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that's usually what I kind of do with that. But I would say that these are pretty selfish podcasts on my side today because I had questions on this stuff, right? And I know that other people have different hangups, and some people are really good about talking about themselves and what they've done. Jose's on. I think he's done a masterful job on. He's got a pretty humble spirit about himself, right?
No doubt.
But he does promote himself well, and but there's some he's authentic because he says, hey man, before 75, I remember when I was doing 75 hard and he called me and goes, I'm gonna try this thing. And I said, I'm telling you, bro, it's going to change you, man. And I remember him doing that. And then he talks about that on how long it took him to do or do these things and everything else, right? And so, I've kind of followed the lead of these, he's way younger than me, but watching these young guys, learn from different things. And I just think that marketing marketing yourself is a weird thing, right? Because you you want to make sure that um, you're known, and you want other people to be talking
About you,
about you.
no doubt.
Now,
Yeah, I would just add the caveat that all marketing is hard. It's all hard. And the reason it's hard, you would think in the because of the advent of the internet and social media and all this stuff that it would become easier. It's not. Google has admitted that they change their algorithm twice a day. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, they can move the goalposts on you anytime they want. And guess what? They don't have to tell you. It's like because all of a sudden you're running an ad on Google and it's like, well, yeah, we're page one on Google. Great. You don't change anything. And then you check your rankings 2-3 days later, and all of a sudden you're on page 9. Like, well,
mhm.
what happened? We didn't do anything wrong. No, you didn't. Google changed their stuff, which went totally against the old stuff. And now you're, there's an old joke. Where's the best place to bury a body? On the second page of Google. So you don't want to you want to be you want to keep up as much as you can, but the thing is, dude, it is hard. And as my good friend Mindy Hart in Kansas City had taught me many, many years ago, this is one of her quotes: "Let the geniuses be geniuses." Dude, you have to delegate this stuff out. There is no way that you can try to keep up on all this SEO and all of this AI stuff that's coming out. You've got to trust other people to do their thing and help you out. You cannot do this all on your own. You can't. It's physically impossible. Like, to get the success where you got to hire a coach. You got to hire people that are experts in specific fields. Let them do their thing to fill in that piece of the puzzle for you. Because if you try to do it all yourself, you're just gonna stay stuck. It's that simple.
I think that's good. I think I like to end with this. We talk about Facebook and stuff like this. Now, Facebook took me down for listen, man, they crippled me. I didn't. I learned some big lessons there, and and people can get all pissed off at them. But in the same token, you're using something for free anyway, and they're free is stuff, and so they're going to do what they're going to want to do. And if you put all your eggs in one basket, man, you are really screwed.
You're playing with fire,
and
no doubt.
And so they closed me down because they needed to verify my account, and it took them 3 weeks to verify it. Luckily, I had to I resurrected my America's Best, which was me, and now I've got these two things to look at, and I'm like, so I have my original one when they finally brought it up last week, right? The Mark Cox one. It gets way more play than my other one. It's so weird to see the differences, man.
You bring up a really, really great point, Mark. What we think, you put out a post or a video or a whatever, and you're thinking, oh man, this is gonna crush it. This is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna go just about viral, right? And then it goes, it doesn't do anything. And you're going, what happened? Why is this not doing anything? Dude, we have no idea of the internal machinations of what goes on at Facebook. I've actually talked to somebody at Facebook. This is a true story. A couple of years ago, I actually talked to somebody, and the thing was, it was probably some girl working at a call farm down in Austin or something. And I got contradictory advice. And it was, you see these people say, you got to do longer ads perform better. And then her on the phone told me, and this is a direct quote, she goes, no, shorter ads work better. Well, which is it?
Right. That's true.
And so you're getting contradictory advice and information from the same company. It's like, that's why I say you have to enlist the help of experts in those areas that you need help. If you try to do this on your own, good luck. That's all I can tell you. Good luck, because you're going to need it.
All right. Well, let's end with this, man. We're past the hour already. I knew this would happen with you anyway. Let's talk about the QR code real quick that you've invented. Let's talk about where people can find that. What in in a Reader's Digest version are we looking at for that, and how can it help others that are listening to the show?
Yeah, if you basically if you sell stuff to people, is that broad enough for you? If you sell stuff to people, uh, this can help you. If you like for example, so this podcast here, what I've created allows you to sell 4 things on the same screen at the same time. Think of it almost in terms of your own shopping channel that you can turn on or off anytime you want. The reason I invented it is, again, I go back to demolish artificiality, is I want people to be able to get whatever it is you have to sell in as few taps or clicks as possible. If you want to send people down a funnel, great, fine. But if you think of this in terms of this is the first step into a funnel, it's super cool. I can assure you that, number one. But number two, the biggest thing is we see QR codes all over the place. Nobody's going to scan it if you don't tell them why. Like, why should I scan this code? If it's just up there, well, what am I supposed? Why am I scanning this? No. Scan this because here's a deal you can't get anywhere else on the planet. Here's a deal that, by the way, you not only can you not get anywhere else, it's going to go away in a day or whatever, whenever you want to basically end it. So it's a visual medium. I do own the copyrights on it, the trademark. And so don't try to steal it, or else I will come down on you like a ton of bricks, or like that guy that hit your jaw back in 1977.
Right. Tony Mendoza. Tony Mendoza, if anybody's looking for him.
I will come down on you like Tony Mendoza. But you can check it out. There's a video demonstration. It's at theqrmarket.com, theqrmarket.com. Jose is one of my Jose, I think he's watching this right now. Big supporter of it. And if you're going to be in Cherry Hill next week, you'll see it there as well. I'll be there.
Yep, I'll be there.
Yeah. So if you're going to be at that event, come see it. And I'll show you how you can use it as well. So, but I'm actually, I've been working on that for over a year. Excuse me. And now I'm actually getting ready to split it off and run a parallel thing with it, which I can't announce yet. I would love to have been able to break some kind of world exclusive here on the Mark Cox podcast, but it's just not quite there yet, but we're very, very close. So,
all right. Sounds awesome. Yeah. This is great. This is a great hour, Tim. I really appreciate your, just your authenticity and, real talk back and forth to kind of help. I know if I ask questions, people have the same questions I have, even in their world. It doesn't have to be a martial arts. Marketing is marketing. And I have some hangups with it. I'm not going to lie. You can see some insecurities I have with it about, talking about myself. I mean, some people don't have any issues with that whatsoever. I just happen to be, I'm super competitive, man. Don't get me wrong. Now, listen, I hate losing more than I like winning. I can tell you that for a fact. Okay. And I'll talk shit. I'll shit talk with the best of them. But I do have a humble spirit because I've seen martial arts can make you humble, man. It will make you, it's you're going to find out you're not the biggest, you think you're the alpha dog. Then all of a sudden, the daddy walks in, the alpha daddy. And I'm like, oh man. And so it's just been some awesome things, but I know in my world, my martial arts world, and the stories that I can tell from it, there's life lessons that are learned. And I had to grind through a lot of stuff, and have grown, and you got to have some grit, and that's going to resonate with everybody. That's what I was asking. Some of my stuff was selfish because I want to see it become better.
Sure.
And so we'll talk a little bit more. I think you kind of put me on a path that now that I've done this year, there's some other books that are in me now. I want to do something right, that, the 10 easy steps of black belt leadership, you know what I mean? That you can take it from leadership is leadership, but these are what I've done, and simple steps to put you on the right path. And so I'll look forward to having those talks with you as we continue on our relationship. Maybe we can have a little coffee or something when we're out there in New Jersey, because I hear it's cold as shit out there. It's 81 degrees here in California, and I've got to bring a jacket and
bring more than that, I think.
So
bring a couple of jackets.
So with that being said, man, I want to appreciate everything. I'll have the audio portion of this out so you can share it on your platform also. So it'll be on my YouTube. So anybody can come back and listen to it now, and I'll have the audio portion back. You'll hear the beginning. I look forward to letting you hear the beginning of it and say, yeah, we need to concise that down. We need to break that down.
Sure.
And listen to the outro also. See what you think.
Will do.
Okay. All right.
Will do. Thank you,
right,
man. It's been great. I appreciate it.
All right, Tim. Have an awesome day,
Thanks.
man.
You too.
Bye-bye.